So We Lie, We Cheat, We Steal Pompeo is right at the last moment. He's trying to set up a situation for a war on Iran. I just noticed he's done a video just recently which says that basically Osama bin Laden's Al-Qaeda has set up a new base in Iran, and that we can't just sit by and let this happen. We must not let this happen, that kind of thing.
Al-Qaeda has a new home base. It is the Islamic Republic of Iran. As a result, bin Laden's wicked creation is poised to gain strength and capabilities. We ignore this Iran-Al-Qaeda nexus at our own peril. We need to acknowledge it. We must confront it. Indeed, we must defeat it.
Honestly, when I see this sort of thing, I just want to reach through the monitor and just slap that man, or just, he needs to be, these sort of people are traitors to, they're traitors to their own country because they basically are a major security threat. All these warmongers, and I include the duopoly, both sides, many in the duopoly, the Democratic Party and the Republicans, and I hope you can hear me okay. It's just suddenly the wind is picked up. I live on an island, so it's very windy here in Tasmania sometimes, just occasionally. But when I see this sort of talk, which is intended to make Iran this ongoing target of US imperialism, US empire, I just think these people are absolutely bereft of any moral center. They're traitors to their own country because they, not only do they endanger the 80 million people that live in Iran and then also destabilize Western Asia, but they also bring a security threat, a major security threat to their own country. So they end up, with the sanctions on Iran, they have caused great suffering at a time of COVID. They put on about 800 sanctions on Iran, and sanctions are an act of war. That's what they are. They're an act of war. That's what they're doing in Venezuela, sanctions on Venezuela. They don't care about human beings at all. Look what they're doing in Yemen. They're continuing to cause great suffering in Yemen. There's been an ongoing genocide, a US-backed genocide involving the Saudis against the Yemeni people. That's been going on for years now. It started in Obama's administration. It's truly breathtakingly appalling to see this sort of thing. And I knew when the new year turned around, I knew every new year almost Trump has decided to create a situation towards a particular country. If it's not DPRK, it's something else. So this year it's Iran. And I knew he would do that. Sheldon Adelson, who has recently died, Sheldon Adelson had about 60 billion with a B, personal sort of fortune. And he was a major pro-Israel sort of billionaire. He's wanted a war on Iran for a long time now, and I think that he thought he was going to get it with Donald Trump, because he's given, I think, at least a couple of $100 million to the GOP, and I think he gave a lot to Donald Trump, but now he's dead. He died a couple of days ago. So not that he won't still, after his death, I'm sure he's put in his will somewhere or something that he wants money to continue to be funneled to the GOP for that aim, because he's asked to be buried in Israel. It's terrible that the world is run by these war criminals and these billionaires and corporations, Silicon Valley and all of that. And that's why we need to be vigilant. We need to be organizing outside the duopoly, because nothing ever good is going to come out of the duopoly, and that includes the Squad and all of that. Nothing good will ever come of it. So that's why we need to be organized outside of these dreadful imperialist duopoly. And Mike Pompeo, now he's got his eye on the presidency. He's going to run as a senator for Kansas, and he's also a rapture believer. He believes in the rapture. He's one of the Christian fascists that Chris Hedges warns us about, and he is an ex-CIA. I think he's an ex-CIA director, somebody high up in the CIA, and he's even admitted that the CIA lies and cheats and steals.
I was the CIA director. We lied, we cheated, we stole. It was like we had entire training courses. It reminds you of the glory of the American experiment.
And that's what he does all the time. He's a pathological liar, and his Twitter feed is littered with warmongering against one country after another. I mean, that's all he does. He's rattling his sabers at Cuba, saying they're a terrorist country or whatever, a source of terrorism. He's constantly drumming up some war against Iran. It's just endless. Venezuela, constantly meddling in Venezuela. And now he's got his eyes on the presidency for 2024. And this is the sort of competent fascist that Chris Hedges talks about. He doesn't have the charisma that some fascists need to have to be able to win support and get people rallying around him. He's one of those competent fascists, along with Tom Cotton and those kind of people, Christian fascists. So anyway, I was waiting for something like this to happen, and hopefully, the Democrats aren't interested in Iran as in invading Iran at this present time. I'm not saying they're not interested in it. I'm sure they are at some point, but obviously, I noticed on Biden's Twitter feed and some of the others associated, and Tony Blinken, who's going to be the Secretary of State after Biden gets sworn in. I don't see him rattling sabers about Iran, but that doesn't mean at the present time. But that doesn't mean that's not going to happen. And also that the Palestinians once again are being treated like they're garbage. They're nothing by the apartheid state of Israel. The vaccines are being rolled out at a very fast rate in Israel, but not to Palestinians. So once again, not only is Israel poisoning children in Gaza by making sure that they don't have any clean water, and also only 4 hours of electricity a day at best, and all of that, all of the awful things that are happening to Palestinians in Gaza and in the occupied West Bank and so forth, and also the unbelievable amount of illegal settlers who have basically knocked down Palestinian homes and built over the top of them, which is completely illegal and under UN resolutions. But now they're trying to do a genocide via COVID, by basically making sure that Palestinians can't get access to vaccines. So that should tell you a lot about Israel, about the government there, that is what they intend to do. What they're trying to do is ethnically cleanse or genocide, basically, Palestinians. And as Netanyahu has said, he considers Israel to be a Jewish state, and other people are irrelevant. And it's not even just Palestinians that he has that attitude towards. Black people, any sort of asylum seekers that come to Israel that are black, they're often treated like dirt as well. So that gives you an idea, a sort of a white supremacist, ethno-supremacist kind of state that Netanyahu considers Israel. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. So thanks for watching. My name's Trish Roberts. You're watching Faint Signals from Viga. Till next time. Bye for now.